All right, guys. Sometimes it's true in this YouTube gun community that the negative stuff that you say that maybe people will disagree with gets more, I guess, exposure and gets more views than the positive stuff. In my last video, a lot of people seemed to take what I said out of context, and they wanted to break down or criticize me for one phrase that I said or two phrases that I said in my video, when the majority of it, the context of the video was right and correct. But they wanted to scrutinize one phrase that I said and take it kind of out of context. And so I want to clarify for my subscribers what I was trying to say in that video. This is not going to get as many views because probably everything I'm going to say in this video is going to make a lot more sense. So being that there's nothing to scrutinize. And another thing I'd like to say to people that want to be negative in the comments or kind of go against you in the comments with something that you say, you try to do this. You get on YouTube and try to make a 10-minute video and try to educate people and see how easy it is to say one thing that can be taken out of context or maybe say it a little bit in the wrong manner or mention it the wrong way to where it gets taken the wrong way. It's hard to do. This is not easy to do, especially when you don't have time to make notes and do all this stuff. You're just sharing a thought. You're trying to educate people, and not everything that you say is going to come across the way you intend for it to. It's part of this doing this. It's just not always going to come across and be taken the way that you initially meant for it to be taken. But if you look at the context of the video, it's just saying if someone cannot shoot a gun proficiently, they should not carry it. And I think no matter what anybody says, I think that statement is true. If you cannot shoot a gun accurately and proficiently at a decent cadence, then it's not a gun that you should conceal carry. I don't care what anybody says, I believe that. But the phrase that got took out of context was that for some people, carrying a fixed blade knife is a better option for them than carrying a pistol because of how awful their accuracy is and how dangerous they are with a pistol because of their lack of training, their lack of skill, their lack of understanding that particular platform. They're better off for the safety of themselves and others to carry a fixed blade. This is not for anybody that trains with their gun, okay? And for anybody to say that, they're taking it out of context. I'm talking about the people that cannot shoot their weapon proficiently at all, or maybe even shoot it dangerously, or don't follow the safety principles. That's another thing too. You wouldn't believe how many people carry a concealed carry gun, and I've seen them during training pull their gun out and muzzle people. Run the muzzle with a loaded weapon across other people. And you wouldn't believe how great of a percentage that is of people that do that. Those kind of people are probably better off not carrying a pistol until they learn those basic principles and they follow them regularly. They become a greater threat than the potential of a real threat. They themselves, trying to be a protector, become a greater threat to others. And that's what I was talking about. I never mentioned, or it wasn't my intention to come across as mentioning that a knife is a better weapon, a fixed blade knife is a better weapon than a pistol. It never was. That was not my intent. That was not the context I was trying to give. The context that I was trying to give is, for some people, carrying a fixed blade is a better option because they're not willing to put in the time and the effort to learn the proper safety rules and the proper techniques for getting good hits at 5 to 10 yards. And for those people, because you're dealing not only with a threat when you have a pistol, you have to deal with anything beyond that threat, around that threat. Those things have to be considered. And so because of that, a fixed blade may be a better option if those people don't want to seek guidance and help and training and go out and find a range and shoot their gun to where they learn it. If they don't want to follow the basic safety rules, if they don't want to learn how to shoot a gun accurately at 10 yards, and I'm talking about novice accuracy. I'm not talking about professional accuracy. That's not that important. Professional accuracy is not important for a concealed carrier. But just like hitting an A zone at a slow pace at 10 yards, I think that is bare minimum what somebody should be able to do with their carry pistol. And that was the context of my video. But it got taken out of context, and there was people calling me different things and saying that I was people shouldn't listen to my videos because I'm saying things that are wrong, and they used worse words than that in some cases. But basically saying that I'm teaching bad principles, bad thoughts to people. But if you take it in the context that I was saying it, there's nothing wrong with what I said. Now, I'm going to give you an example, and I try to be careful because these are people I know. I don't think they're subscribed to my channel, but people I know. I was training our church security team, and we were about 7 yards, and I put up 3. These weren't full-size silhouettes, but they were like 2/3 size silhouettes. So these were large targets, way larger than an A zone. I think the paper was 18 inches wide and about 2 feet in length. So this is a large paper. And we were at 5 or 7 yards. I can't remember. We're not very far from the targets. And I had one of our guys from our church security team shoot at the middle target was the threat. And I put 2 non-threats on the sides. This is for me to demonstrate to them kind of what you'll be up against. I want them to understand, that there might be civilians around you. I wanted to see what they would do with those there. And we're talking about a flat range with no gunshots being shot back at you, with no stress, no adrenaline. Talking about, I didn't even time them really. It wasn't even a timed course. It was just, you draw and shoot this middle target. That's a threat. And this guy, I think we shot like 10 shots, and he shot like 6 onto the middle target. I think he had 2 misses. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know he hit the left target, non-threat, at least twice at 10 yards. Or I mean, at 7 yards, I think it was. I think it was less than 10 yards. But he hit the non-threat twice, and there was about a 3 or 4 inch gap between the threat target and the non-threat. And he actually hit into the belly of this non-threat target twice. And this was like not even a timed drill. This was just we're standing here. There wasn't a whole lot of people watching. It was just, let's see how competent you are with a gun. Those kind of people, and like I said, I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I don't like mentioning this, but I'm letting people know that those people exist. And those kind of people will be better off carrying a fixed blade knife than carrying a gun to protect others if they're not capable of hitting a full-size silhouette at 7 yards with very little stress. And so that was my context. That was my point. And I gave a drill saying, try this drill. If you can't do this drill, train with your weapon enough to where you can do this drill. And then you should feel confident that you can carry that particular weapon. That was my whole point of the video. And also another point of my video was to let people know that sometimes people pick guns that have horrible triggers. They're super lightweight. They're super hard to shoot. I'm not saying that people can't shoot, that somebody that's really good and practiced and trained can still carry a small light firearm or a revolver. I'm saying a lot of people pick those guns without any training, and they have a horrible trigger, double action trigger or whatever, and they'll pick those guns and never train with it, and then they end up pulling the gun 3 feet to the left at 7 yards because they've never shot the gun. And they go get their concealed carry license, and they're like, oh, I'm good. Go buy them a box of ammo. They might shoot it in their backyard one time, and they don't even aim at nothing. They might shoot it one time to make sure it works. And believe it or not, that's more gun owners than people realize. And I think that is overlooked sometimes, because I think that is more people than people want to admit in the gun community. And also, not only do you have those people that shoot those guns very inefficiently, with very little training and can't hit anything at 5, 7, 8, 10 yards. Not only do you have those people, you also have those people who will not follow the most basic of safety rules, and yet they want to carry a firearm or be on a church security team, and they can't even follow the most basic of safety rules. So that is what that last video was about. I didn't really mention the safety rules last time, but I want to clarify that there are the kind of people out there that are better off not carrying any weapon at all. Let's not even go with fixed blades or pistols. Let's say there's some people out there that are just better off for the safety, for their own safety, to not carry a weapon at all. I really do believe that. They don't have the right mindset. They don't have the right desire to learn, to train. They don't have none of those desires. They just want to carry a gun, so they say they're like everybody else and they have a gun and this and that. They want to talk about it, but they don't have no desire to better themselves. And those kind of people should not carry any kind of weapon, in my opinion. Might get scrutinized for saying that, but I really do believe that that is the case. You wouldn't believe how many people I've seen muzzle other people in training. It's just a sad thing. And unfortunately, there's more of those people in the gun community. Those are not going to be the people that show up in some kind of training course. People that show up in a training course or to qualify for something, they've usually shot their weapon at some kind of open range alone or in some kind of field, or those kind of people want to learn. You know, they're coming to that training course to learn. So most people don't see those people. They don't acknowledge that those people exist, but I've seen them. I know they're there. I know that there's a greater percentage of gun owners that are that way than what anybody wants to admit. And that's what's kind of scary to me. And I think people need to recognize that that's the case. In no way was I saying that carrying a fixed blade knife is better for self-defense than carrying a pistol. I was not saying that. I was saying for the safety. And here's a good thought, I think. I would rather not carry a gun myself than to carry a gun I can't shoot accurately at all. And I would rather know that rather than defending myself, if I saved my own life and I shot some 10-year-old that was beside the threat and I killed the threat and yet fatally wounded a 10-year-old who was 10 yards behind the threat because I missed the threat, I would rather have my life been taken and somebody with competence take down that threat than for that 10-year-old, for me to have been responsible for shooting that 10-year-old. And I think people overlook those things. They really do, because a lot of times you look at these active shooter situations, and a lot of times there's people around when these gunshots are going off. There's a lot of people around. You look at the different scenarios I've heard over the years. It's in churches, it's in malls, it's in parking lots, that a lot of this stuff happens. It doesn't happen in a closed quarter area where there's nobody around most of the time. Most of the time happens around people. And so in those cases, I still find it true that we need to make sure that we are proficient enough with the gun that we carry. And if we're not proficient, if we can't say that we can make decent hits at a slow cadence, 10 yards, if we can't do that with our carry weapon, we're better off not carrying a gun at all. That's my point. And if you argue with that, I'm sorry, this channel's not for you, because I don't know how you could disagree with that, in my opinion. But God bless. Have a great day. I'm sorry if any of my comments on that last video replying to people came across arrogant. I'm trying to be a humble person. I'm just an average shooter. I'm an average, maybe slightly above average competition shooter. I'm maybe a slightly above average concealed carrier shooter. Tactic shooter. From that standpoint, I've studied the gun and tactics and competition shooting for a while, but I'm definitely nowhere near the best, and I don't claim to be. I try to keep myself as humble as I can and say, I'm not that great. I got friends that are a lot better than me. So I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to come across that way. But I think the stuff I'm trying to share as an average shooter, I'm trying to share good information that I've learned over the years that's helped me become a better shooter than what I was in the past. And so that's all I can do with this channel. That's what I want. As a Christian, I try to be honest and share my thoughts as clearly as I can. And I'm not a public speaker, so I'm not really good with my words. That's not who I am. So you'll have to bear with me when I do say phrases that may be taken out of context easy. But I look at it and I think about the Bible. I think even when Jesus spoke in the New Testament, people always want to scrutinize what he said and take out of context what he said because they hated him. You know, they hated him. And he spoke everything perfectly. I know I don't. But he did, and he still got things taken out of context by people. And so I know in this field, with this public platform, I'm going to get things taken out of context. But I can't back down on the fact that I think that if you're not trained up on how to follow the basic safety rules of firearms, if you're not trained enough to shoot decent accuracy at 10 yards at a slow cadence, standing on an open range with no stress, then you're better off not carrying a firearm until you figure that out, until you find your way to improve on your skills as a shooter, as a protector, and think about those safety rules. Think about how dangerous it is to present a gun at any time to save somebody's life. Think about all the things that could go wrong. If you're not thinking about all the things that could go wrong when you're carrying a gun, you shouldn't carry a gun. You should be considering every time I walk into a room when I'm carrying a gun, I'm thinking about what could go wrong if I was to need to draw that gun. What could happen if I draw the gun at the wrong time? What would happen if I took a shot and this person was over here? What would happen if I shot into this wall? What's on the other side of that wall? As a concealed carrier, you've got to think that way. You've got to think that way. If you don't think that way, you probably shouldn't conceal carry. Just my thoughts. God bless. Have a great day. I'm sorry for taking so much time, but I want to clarify to my subscribers that last video, because it was scrutinized a lot, probably is going to get 1,000 views or more. This one, because I'm just trying to clarify some things, will probably get a lot less views. But this is for my subscribers who actually want to hear what I have to say about that to clarify. No, fixed blade knife is not a better weapon than a pistol. Absolutely not. But for people who don't want to train at all and think that they can just buy a gun and go out and carry it to protect other people and don't know how to follow the basic safety rules, can't hit a target at 5 yards accurately, miss a target at 5 yards 3 or 4 feet to the left because they have zero trigger control, they should not be carrying anything. Fixed blade, maybe. I'm just saying they should not be carrying any kind of firearm until they get more proficient and more training. All I'm saying. God bless. Have a great day. I sure hope this video can't be scrutinized as much as the last, but I probably said something in this one that probably is going to offend somebody too. A lot of those people didn't even watch the whole video. They took that one phrase and they turned off the video at that one phrase, didn't watch the rest of the video, took it out of context, and got upset about it. But this is for my subscribers to let them know where I stand on that. Sorry it was so long. God bless. Have a great day. And please leave your comments below. Hopefully, try to be a little more positive than the last one. That was kind of a little hard for me to deal with because you're just trying to share content and share good information, and people want to take it out of context. It kind of makes it hard because you're doing this for nearly nothing. I think I've made $7 since I've got monetized or something like that. So it's nothing. I literally make way more per minute at work than I do how many minutes I'm making in a video, and these videos are hard to do. So, like I said, I'll holler at you guys later. God bless.